major in French because I've been taking French since the 7th grade.
I actually didn't plan on doing it for a while. I took French in high school and I was planning to continue with a few courses just to keep up with my language skills.
I actually first took it in high school, and then I knew going into college I definitely wanted to at least minor in it.
I decided to major in French because I had been learning it for a really long time, since I was maybe in 4th grade, before I even realized what the importance of a language was.
My family is 50% Italian. They come from Calabria, and when I found out that my high school offered Italian classes, it interested me a lot more than Spanish or French or German, because I knew that it was part of my heritage, but no one in my family spoke Italian.
I first started studying French because, like most people in high school, I had to choose between French and Spanish, and I really liked French. And then when I came to Pitt, they made it very easy to, I never felt like there was a gap in my classes between the language knowledge of people that stayed at Pitt and people that studied, like me, that stayed in high school.
When I first came into school, I knew I wanted to study a language, but I wasn't sure which language to study. And I had already lived in Italy and spoke a decent amount of Italian, and I had studied both Spanish and French.
And I didn't want to lose all the skills I've learned throughout my middle school and high school years, so I decided to continue here at Pitt.
But then after looking through all the classes and realizing how much I really enjoyed it, especially the professors at Pitt, I was like, might as well do a major.
I met with some people in the French department and realized that I only needed to take a few more classes to get a French minor, and so I decided to go that route, and then really enjoyed that. And after I studied abroad in France, I realized I was close to completing all the courses needed for the major. And so now I'm doing a dual degree actually with French and communication science.
It became such a huge part of my identity and what I really like to do and learn. So I really wanted to continue that throughout college so I can get a better understanding of it and can use it a lot more as well.
I decided to go with Italian just because of the relation to my heritage and ancestry and family, and with the hopes of being able to go back to study abroad.
And I fell in love with it so much that when I was looking for colleges, I decided that I had to go to a school that had a really strong Italian department.
Learning a language in general really helps with a lot of other studies. It's like anything else, it's a discipline, it's a practice. It's something that you can't just pick up overnight.
French has contributed, I think, enormously to my life. It's given me a whole new culture to learn about and experience.
French really played a huge role in my life. It was through that I really began to gain a better understanding and more curiosity about other cultures and other languages. Like now I really want to learn more about other places as well. It's really opened me up to a lot more opportunities, like even studying abroad and everything else, and I realized how much I would like to continue doing that in my future.
Italian has contributed to my life, definitely in a lot of ways. I mean, slowly on the path to being bilingual, definitely still have some ways to go.
Just learning more about it, I just have that richness of language knowledge. I don't know, like it doesn't always directly apply to anything, but just having that I think is really valuable.
It was really the first foreign language that I studied. So it gave me a lot of knowledge about how to study a language, because I was studying it in a school setting. It wasn't like from family or anything. And that has really helped me because I've studied other languages here at Pitt, and really from the knowledge I got, like just from studying French, from knowing how to like transfer skills from the classroom and everything, it really helped me learn other languages more effectively.
And it's also helped me a lot in learning other languages. So like I took sign language, and this semester I took biblical Hebrew, and so just having a more thorough knowledge of French helped me to start learning other languages as well, because you just kind of learn how it works.
Italian has contributed to my life because I've had a lot of opportunities to study abroad. And the first time I studied in Sicily, in Taormina, and then the second time I studied with Professor Savoia in Genova, and both of those experiences were irreplaceable with stuff that we could do in the classroom here in the US.
Being able to study abroad with the Pitt in Genoa program, which only Italian majors or minors can really go on. So that was definitely a really unique and awesome opportunity to experience that I wouldn't have had otherwise.
I've always studied the sciences throughout my career at Pitt, and French is a good break from the stressful and rigorous classes, the science classes. So French has given me a way to relax and also keep learning at the same time.
But in general, it was always the classes that I liked to go to the most. I always felt like it was a break from everything else, all the other stresses of my life, and it always was just something that I enjoyed doing and made me happier.
I think Italian specifically has allowed me to connect greater with my heritage, with my family, and with a language that I personally think is really beautiful to speak.
So I'm planning eventually to become a speech-language pathologist. So just a knowledge of another language will help me when I'm interacting with people who are speakers of other languages, whether it's French or another one. But before that, I'm actually going to France next year to teach English with the TAPIF program. And so I feel a lot more prepared to do that now, especially after the challenging courses I've had in the past 2 years that have helped me to improve my writing skills.
Italian's definitely going to contribute to my future. This semester I've interned at Bashir High School and helped tutor kids in Italian and assisted the teachers of the World Language Department there. And I'm definitely interested in pursuing a master's in education at some point, most likely with a concentration in secondary ed and foreign language, which all stems from my experiences from the Italian department at Pitt.
I hope to become a doctor and work abroad in third world countries, maybe in Africa and other francophone areas. So I would like to use my French in helping deliver healthcare systems and improve access to healthcare in francophone worlds.
I eventually want to go into speech pathology, so I feel like it's very good for me to be open and to learning about new people. And I can also use my bilingualism as a way to communicate with new patients, and I look forward to seeing what other languages I can learn on top of it as well.
I am very interested in food and restaurants, so for me, Italian fits perfectly with that because they're so connected with food. And so in the future, I'm hoping to use Italian through my cooking show and on my blog, and maybe even one day open up my own little Italian restaurant.
At this point, I speak French, so it's a skill I can have for any job, and it could lead me to work in the francophone world, which is really big.
So after college, I plan to work at a nonprofit downtown, and I will be working in special events and development. And the first event I will be putting on is an Italian street festival, where I will utilize my Italian skills of language and culture to acquire Italian American and Italian vendors and performers, and hopefully spread that culture with the rest of Western Pennsylvania.
My favorite French phrase is "ce n'est pas grave." It means it's no big deal in French. And it's actually kind of a funny story why it's my favorite. Last summer I studied abroad in Nantes, and one of the host moms was driving us to the bus stop for, I forget where we were going, but she was trying to park the car and ended up hitting the car behind her and in front of her and just said, "Oh, ce n'est pas grave." And we thought it was the funniest thing because she, dented the car in the back and dented her own car. And she said it's no big deal, and ever since then it's just become kind of the joke of the trip.
Right now, my favorite word is just the verb profiter, because I like the sense of it. To me, it's not like the English word to profit from something, like to take advantage of something. Like you say to someone like profiter bien de something, it's like just really benefit from it in a good way, rather than saying in English I would take advantage of that opportunity.
I think one of my favorite phrases is actually an original dialect from Le Marche. It is andiamo a mangiare, which is the same as andiamo a mangiare, which is let's go eat, which is very Italian and appropriate, and I like the way it sounds in dialect.
My favorite phrase in Italian is gattara, which means an older woman who takes care of stray cats. I love this word because in English we say cat lady, crazy cat lady, but I love that they just have one word for it. and it must be very common over in Italy. And I aspire to be a gattara one day.
One of my favorite French words is vachement. I can't even say that I use it that much, and I'm trying to like incorporate more into my vocabulary, but basically it means really, like, oh, that's really cool, I would use vachement. I just think it's really funny, the word vache, and it means cow, so I guess it kind of translate as cowly. That's cowly cool. I really don't know, but it's definitely a cool word.
My favorite word or phrase that I learned in Italy is say baci ciao ciao, which means kisses bye bye. And then also when you see a dog in Italy, I would always say che carino, which means how cute, and then I tried to pet the dogs.
Studying abroad, so I was in Rennes in France, and so just that whole experience, living with a host family and taking classes all in French and with other international students and with the French students as well. Just my confidence in speaking the language improved a lot.
To be honest, I think my favorite memory was made yesterday with my theatrical workshop class taught by Professor Savoia. We put on 2 shows, one La Problema dei Vecchi, and the other one we wrote ourselves called Finestre sul Mondo. And we had such a fabulous time practicing late hours this past week and eventually putting the show on yesterday. And it was really goofy and a lot of people laughed.
One of my favorite things that I got to do here as an Italian major was participate in the National Italian American Foundation Gala Weekend, both this past fall and the fall before. Thanks to Dr. Savoia, I got to be a student ambassador, and I got to meet a lot of other Italian Americans from other colleges and from other parts of the world, and that was a really, really rewarding experience.
I think my favorite memory would be last summer in Nantes. I had the opportunity to shadow a couple clinicians. And the one clinician I shadowed, she complimented my French even though I didn't know any medical French. And she complimented how well I was speaking and how well I was able to understand everything that was going on, and that kind of really solidified my learning.
I just really enjoyed all of my Italian classes, and I managed to do pretty well in all of them too, so it's just been a good experience. And all the people in the classes and the professors, it's a lot of good vibes there.
I really liked a lot of it. I really liked the professors I've had and the classes I've taken. They were always, I would always like laugh in all my classes. My professors have always been really approachable and really just try to maintain a good learning environment. But I have to say, last summer I studied abroad in Paris, and that was just kind of like a culminating thing where I got to apply all my skills. I was there for a month and I lived there, and I lived in an apartment. I had to go to classes there, and I had to even interact with people on a day-to-day basis in a French high school. So it was really interesting for me to be able to apply those skills, and it's one of my favorite memories of all time.